Welcome to Senior Living Smart's Partner Webinar Series. Today we have a great response to the webinar, and we would like to introduce Rich Caprio, Managing Partner with One Management. Rich comes with 25 years of executive management in Fortune 100 companies and in startups. I'd also like to introduce Andrea Catazone, President and co-founder of Senior Living Smart, to kick off the webinar with information from an operator's perspective. Andrea has over 20 years of experience operating senior living communities. Andrea?
Hi, we're going to talk about undersized budgets and oversized expectations, how to learn how to stretch your budget without disrupting your business. So first of all, I just want to take a look at the operating ratios for senior living communities ranging from independent living to skilled nursing with rehab. If you can see, there's a significant amount of expense that is related to operating any one of these senior living communities. So as part of our conversation today, we're going to take two of the largest operating expenses and break them down for you. The first is energy management. So Rich is going to talk about how does that work and what you can do to help manage your energy costs. And secondly, food management. How do you buy and what you can do to help decrease your food management. So just some helpful tips in terms of dining services expense management strategies. The first, food, paper, and cleaning costs. Monitor your food portions. You can actually learn a lot by looking at what residents are leaving on their plates. More isn't always better, so take a look at what residents are bringing back to the kitchen and adjust accordingly. Use fresh produce in season. Supplies are more plentiful, prices are typically lower. This is not only a great way for savings, but it's healthy and a market advantage. Take great care of your inventory. Make sure to utilize the first in, first out rotation for all perishable foods. Keep foods at proper temperature, check it regularly, and cook all foods correctly to avoid waste and prevent contamination. Educate your staff. Train, 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 and train some more. Staffs that are adequately trained ensure that food is prepared properly and to the resident's satisfaction. Be sure to use recipes with your staff. It'll be easier for them to minimize waste. Implement a staff reward system for decreasing breakage and food waste. It's important to let your staff know the financial impact of breakage and food waste. Make them part of owning the budget and they will be more accountable. To reduce breakage and waste, run contests to reward associates for reduced china loss and food waste. For example, if the staff can go each month with a reduction in breakage, they can get a reward. And lastly, hire professionals to manage costs and negotiate savings. Rich, can you take us through the food process?
Sure, and thank you, Andrea. Those are all great points, and that leads into some other things that you can do to take advantage of your scale, your purchasing power, and really gaining control over how you're spending your money on your food, paper, and cleaning products. A couple of different ways that you can look at purchasing, and I'm sure one of these, or maybe multiple, are familiar to you. You can buy through group purchasing organizations or GPOs. While they offer a lot of convenience to the purchasing operations, they're often more expensive because there are a lot of hidden costs associated with that, because they take that off your plate completely, handle all your purchasing that goes beyond food, paper, and cleaning, and they wrap it up into one big bow for you, take it off your plate, but you often don't know what you're spending on each individual item. The most important or the most attractive way to move forward is with national contracts. They offer economies of scale, best price, uniformity of product, and give you actual control over what you're spending and what products you're receiving. You can buy local, which Andrea mentioned earlier, which talks about taking advantage of the in-season products. It's fresher. You can keep breakage to a minimum, but it also is expensive and somewhat time-consuming. You need to have people on staff that have to go out and do that. While it offers some great benefits and quality of food, you can also achieve those through national contracts. And finally, on an individual community basis, if you have multiple communities across multiple states or even within the same state, they're often expensive. You often lose lack of control over your product. You don't know what you're receiving on a weekly or biweekly basis, and it is very time-consuming. So what do you do from here? Well, one of the things you could do with your food management is what the products you've ordered are the products that you've received. Do you know that the price you're paying matches the price that's been negotiated for you? Do you know if your communities are paying the same price for the same product? And have purchasing and accounting departments tracking these expenses for you. These are all key components that allow you to manage the control of your products, keep your costs down, keep your breakage down, and leads to great savings on a go-forward basis. So there are 4 components, and some may say there are more, but these are 4 key components to the food, paper, and cleaning product costs. The product themselves, the transportation from the warehouse, from the suppliers, from the distribution centers, supplier fees, typically commission sales fees in addition to the product costs, and then contracting. All 4 lead to what you're paying on a monthly, quarterly basis for your food, paper, and product costs. So how do you take control of those food costs? Well, you can hire additional staff to audit your expenses and your purchasing. You can negotiate national contracts on your own with suppliers for all of your communities. You can hope for the best, or you can bring in the experts. There are many companies out there. There's consultants, there's tools, there's ways that you can take advantage of your spend. You can work through co-op programs. You can buy through the GPOs, which we talked about earlier. But the key thing that we think that's most valuable is that you work in concert with a company that will help you work with your existing suppliers, that specialize in food, paper, and cleaning procurement, that understand the auditing and compliance process, and use proprietary software to track each item that you buy. So you need to choose the right company. As mentioned earlier, there are many out there. But what we do, and what we do at One Management Solutions, is we help you negotiate manufacturer contracts that save you the most money. We offer complete transparency to the procurement process. And what we mean by that is what we think is the most valuable part is going directly to the manufacturer. Think of it as, if you're buying chicken, you go to Tyson Chicken or Purdue Chicken. You don't go to the Cisco's. So you go right to the source, and you negotiate contracts directly with them. What that allows is it provides for detailed reports on a monthly basis that ensures compliance. You know that the product that you're ordering is the product that you're receiving. If you're not receiving the product that you've ordered and you're not getting the price that you've negotiated, there's ways to get restitution for those overcharges when found. These are some of the programs that are built into our proprietary software system. We have a relationship with a company called FSIC, Food Service Industry Consultants. We have been providing restaurant purchasing support solutions, helping restaurant operators since 2001. What that allows is for the ability to take control of your costs, streamline the purchasing process, and maximizing the clarity and the transparency of your orders. We're achieving results through restitution and recovery overcharges and potential lost profits. We have been very successful for the last 14 years doing this for restaurants, and now we are bringing the same service, our same technology, our same software solutions to the senior living providers. So what will we do to reduce your food costs? We will provide you with a free analysis of your program and recommend to you how to save money, how to secure those restitution and overcharges, leverage your total spend, and set up cost-plus contracts with manufacturers. We're asking you not to change anything, any suppliers, any manufacturers that you're comfortable working with. We're just recommending solutions that give it a better way of doing it. So there are 3 steps to the free food analysis that we offer. This is for your protection. We execute a mutual non-disclaimer agreement. This protects you from your competitors, and your information does not leave our hands, and allows us to go to work for you. We execute a letter of authorization, which provides us with the ability to secure your purchasing orders from your existing suppliers. We're not asking you to do any of the work. We do all of that for you. And then you provide us with those contacts so that we can get to work for you. That is all we need to do to get started in your free analysis. There is no additional work on your side, and the only thing we ask in return is that when we have the results, that you spend some time on the phone with us or in person to discuss how we're going to be able to help. So this is what we do. We collect 60 to 90 days worth of purchasing orders from your existing suppliers. We review those orders product by product, item by item. That's where we find most discrepancies. That's where we find the opportunity to save significant amount of money. We identify those discrepancies item by item. We identify cost savings opportunities by negotiating aggregate spend across all of your communities. We set up a meeting with you to present our findings, and typically in the restaurant space where this is their sole focus as a business, we have set a savings fund between 8 and 12% of their annual spend on an annual basis.
Thanks, Rich. We have a couple of questions. The first one is, how do communities go about recouping overcharges and errors in billing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Once those are identified through our work and our efforts through the audit and compliance process of the auditing system, we then contact those suppliers who are not opposed to returning those costs. If you have a negotiated contract that you have overpaid on, or if you've received product that was not what you ordered and is less than the product that you're paying for, they gladly will return those dollars to you. It's not that they're trying to trick you. It's not like they're trying to take advantage of you. But if you think about, you have orders coming into your facility on a weekly basis, maybe twice a week, and you have the drivers coming in and they're dropping product off. Very easy for that product to get confused with another product because of the way the boxes are labeled. It could have been a driver error. There's so many different ways that these errors occur, and we just identify them through our work, and we get that money back for you.
Next question is, how long does it take to see the savings?
Typically, the initial phase of the review takes about 6 weeks. So once we receive your data, we'll collect that information. We'll do the analysis. It's typically a 4 to 6 week process before we get back to you with our findings, our suggestions, our recommendations. Once that's implemented, you may see savings right away, because if there's overcharges, we go back and get those we go after those restitutions for you, and you have immediate savings there. We also, during that time, will discuss how we can work with you. We can help negotiate contracts on your behalf. We can monitor your spend on a monthly basis. Typically, the savings takes about 3 to 4 months before you start seeing true savings to the bottom line.
Next question is, do I have to lock into a long-term contract to take advantage of this program?
You don't. As stated earlier, the initial analysis is free. After that analysis and after our discussion, you may say thank you, and we're going to try to do this on our own, and there's no cost to you. We will offer solutions based on your needs. We can take over your entire contracting process. We can do quarterly reviews, monthly reviews. Typically, the first agreement generally lasts about a year with renewals based on your needs. What happens oftentimes is you'll start seeing savings. You'll see savings on a monthly basis. And what happens, and we've seen this, is that customers start thinking, oh, okay, we've kind of maxed out on our savings. We can do this on our own. And oftentimes within 3 or 4 months of us stopping the service, they're calling back because they see their prices starting to increase again. Very, very difficult to manage item by item, product by product analysis on a monthly basis. That's what our software does, but there is no long-term contracts. I think you'll see that the savings more than warrants your continued support of our services.
Okay, and the last question is, will this approach to food management require more work for our staff?
Actually, no. We actually take quite a bit of it off your hands. We don't replace you. We work with your existing suppliers. We work with who you want to work with. If you want us to negotiate contracts, we do that on your behalf. If you want detailed monthly reports, they're delivered to you. This actually reduces your workload and allows you to work on other things that are important to running your business. What we do is the audit, compliance, and reporting mechanisms on a monthly, quarterly basis, depending on your needs and how often you want those done. So we have seen a reduction in time associated with what we deliver to our customers.
Thanks, Rich. So we're going to move on to the energy management portion of the webinar. And once again, I'd like to turn it over to Andrea Catazone for some tips on no and low cost energy savings.
Utility costs are typically the largest controllable operating expense. So I'm here to provide you with some strategic energy management practices that can reduce these costs and increase your net operating income. First is replace all incandescent bulbs with qualified compact fluorescents. Replacing one 60-watt incandescent bulb with a 13-watt CFL will save $56 in energy costs over the CFL's lifetime. In addition, CFLs reduce future costs of purchasing new lamps and the labor costs associated with changing light bulbs because they last 10 times longer. Install programmable thermostats in common areas. Programmable thermostats allow you to automatically adjust temperature settings during times of little or no use. Setting back temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees for 8 hours per night can reduce your heating and cooling costs, which are the primary component for your energy bill, by 10%. Programmable thermostats can cut costs in management offices, in your fitness center, model units, and other amenity areas. Install lighting controls including photosensors, vacancy sensors, and timers. Low-cost lighting controls ensure lights will not be left on in unoccupied or naturally lit areas. Photosensors can be used in most exterior lighting applications, as well as naturally lit indoor areas such as your lobby. Vacancy sensors work well in fitness centers, restrooms, mechanical rooms, electrical, and telecom rooms. Consider timers in your model units as well. Do laundry at night when energy rates are lower. Conduct regular preventative maintenance on heating and cooling equipment. Check and replace your filters regularly. Clean and treat evaporator and condenser coils. Clean dampers, air ducts, blower units, housing units, and motors. These activities will ensure your equipment runs efficiently and extend its useful life. Minimize heating and cooling load. Take steps to minimize your heating and cooling load by installing weather strips on doors and windows to eliminate drafts and air linkage. Utilize existing ceiling fans to reduce the need for air conditioning. Using window shades, tinting, films, or blinds to reduce heat gain in the summer and heat loss in the winter is also very helpful. When weather is temperate, open the windows rather than using mechanical heating or cooling equipment. Install an energy-saving culture with your associates. Make them accountable. Educate your staff to treat the community's energy bill as if it were their own. Consider energy-efficient upgrades when purchasing new equipment. Energy Star awards energy-efficient qualifications to a variety of commercial kitchen equipment. Typical commercial kitchen can save up to $15,000 each year. And in states with deregulated electricity markets and our states with deregulated natural gas markets, lock in a competitive supplier contract for a time frame of 6 months to 5 years. And Rich, I think you're going to tell a little bit more about how we can do that.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. Those are all great tips, and they will absolutely reduce your energy consumption. Unfortunately, it won't reduce it down to zero. So if you're fortunate enough to live in a deregulated state, you have the ability to buy your energy, your power, your gas and electricity through large suppliers that oftentimes beat the local utilities. Your local utility typically is still responsible for servicing your location and your facility. You just have the ability to buy your commodities, being electricity and gas, in the open market, which is oftentimes more beneficial than the local utilities. So let me tell you a little bit about Titan One Energy. They are a wholly owned division of our business, One Management, and what our purpose is to benefit the commercial industrial sector of our economy and the application of energy. Energy is complex, it's ever changing, and I think at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, you just want to make sure that when you go to work that the lights are on and the heat's working or the air conditioning's working. Our goal is simple. It's to simplify energy for you, our clients, so we focus on that so you can focus on your business. So how do you do it? In reducing energy costs in deregulated markets. In states that have deregulated their local utilities, the customer does have the ability to purchase gas and electricity from third parties. Currently, there are about 20 states that are deregulated. And in those states, customers in those markets are able to proactively manage their energy costs. So Titan One, what do is we source energy from third-party suppliers and then provide that product to clients like you at a lower rate than your standard utility. The options range from longer-term contracts to alternative energy sources, which can create significant savings on the purchase price of your energy. For you, the transition is seamless. You are still a client of your current utility company, and they will continue to service you. In theory, it's service without risk. The concept here is you have the ability to proactively manage your energy portfolio, whether it's electricity, gas, or both. When you're with the local utilities, in some markets that utility rate changes on a month-to-month basis. You don't know what you're getting, you don't know what you're receiving until you get your bill. Often other utilities will have a fixed rate for 6 months and then that changes. It could go up, it could go down. So what this program offers you is the ability to more proactively manage your costs on a longer term basis than what the utilities provide. Again, savings without the risk. In the states that are deregulated, you'll notice electricity predominantly in the Northeast, cold weather areas, gas predominantly in the Southeast, although up in the Northeast. If your facilities are in states that are not mentioned here, there are other opportunities and other programs and products that are potentially available to you where you can actually generate your own electricity through cogeneration programs that we offer. And if you're in a state that is not deregulated, don't dismay. There are ways that we can work with you. But it's also important to know that gas and electricity are commodities. And there are times that in some of these markets, they may not be competitively priced. And in those instances, you're better staying with the local utility. We will advise you of those situations and tell you to stay right where you are if that's the best solution for you. So there's 3 steps that we look at to do a free energy audit. All you need to do is provide us with 1 month's copy of an electricity and gas bill for each of your locations. If you have an existing contract, it would be helpful to have that so we can review the language, make sure that there's no clauses in there that have you locked in beyond what you believe. So we do a quick review of the language to make sure that there's nothing unusual in there. We ask you to execute a letter of authorization that allows us to access your energy usage from the utilities so that we can work on your behalf. Once we have those pieces of information, we go away, we do our business, and then we come back and provide you with our review. And that review and the analysis we'll provide is free to you for your existing program. We review your current energy consumption. We offer solutions to help you reduce and manage your energy costs. For example, procurement, cogeneration, demand response, green energy programs. All of these are solutions that we offer. Some are right in certain parts of the country, others they're not, but we have all of that at our disposal. If our pricing and our recommendations are acceptable, we ask that you execute contracts and then you begin your savings. Please remember, your local utility is still responsible for servicing your business. No changes there. The only thing you're doing is you're buying the commodity at a time when you need it, as opposed to when the local utilities buy it.
Thanks, Rich. We have a couple questions for you. The first
Okay.
question is, what are the benefits of having you negotiate the energy costs versus having the communities do it?
Well, certainly the communities can do it themselves. There's any number of suppliers out in the market. You absolutely have the ability to call up the local suppliers. You can do your research on Google and identify those suppliers that are out in the market. The value of using a company like ours is that we do the work for you. We provide a complete analysis. We provide a complete review. We review the contracts. The key here is in the market, through deregulation, the suppliers and third-party suppliers have identified the best way to approach this business model. The business model is a third-party model where they would prefer to have folks like us working on their behalf and working on your behalf, selling product where it makes sense. It's called the cost of sales solution. instead of them hiring salespeople, sales managers, having large staffs on hand to try to deal with this deregulated model, they've transferred that cost associated with the cost of sales to third-party companies like us. We are licensed in the states, so it's not we're completely licensed across all the states that we do business with, and we have to go through rigorous licensing fees and associated costs and training in order to get those licenses. So when you're working with us, working with a licensed group that has resources and can shop the market and work on your behalf.
And Rich, how long does it take to start seeing energy savings with your program?
Yeah, that's typically about 3 months, and the reason for that is once we do the analysis, which does not take long, it takes a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks. Once we vet the contracts, once we recommend the solution that best fits your business needs, term of contract, risk associated with it, the various products that are aligned, and you sign a contract, it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks for the utility to switch the commodity piece over to the supplier that you've chosen. Again, it still runs through the utility, but there does need to be a switch. That typically takes 2 to 4 weeks, depending on when your meter read dates are. But once that is accomplished, then you'll start seeing savings, which typically takes about 3 months.
And the last question is, how often do you negotiate energy costs, and is it an ongoing process?
It is an ongoing process. There are products that allow more flexibility where you can alter contracts while you're in them. Typically, if you sign a fixed rate contract for a 12 or 24-month period, you're locking those rates in for that period of time. We do have the ability to future price contracts up to 8 or 9 months out. So we're constantly in the market shopping. We're constantly in the market looking for best pricing, best situations through all of our suppliers. There are often times where some suppliers are more efficient than others, just based on how they buy their commodities in the open market. But we're constantly monitoring pricing, and we're constantly looking for the best way to help you manage your energy portfolio.
Great, thank you. Rich, that was a wonderful webinar, very informational. I'd like to thank you and Andrea. And that completes our partner webinar for today. Please check back for future topics.